That's temptation. Ooh,
That's it. That's it.
James.
Temptation. hmm
Let's see. Is the temptation the sin?
Is the temptation the sin?
Yes.
No. It's the acting upon the temptation that becomes the sin. Because what we're talking about, again, Bible characters, you think about people like Abraham. Abraham is the father of the Hebrew nation, and yet he lied. And then he lied again. You think about David. Look at all the sins that David committed. And so did he struggle with those? Yeah.
Oh, you're exactly right. I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, unmute him.
Oh,
Yeah,
you want to talk?
He loves to just make it to where I can't talk.
Well, I have a lot of things going
Well,
here.
you asked the question, is temptation a sin? I think of the account where Jesus was taken up by the Holy Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil.
Oh.
If the temptation itself is the sin, then Jesus sinned. And
Oh,
since
exactly.
we know Jesus is perfect, then the temptation itself cannot be sin.
Well, I mean, and you go back to, let's see, James chapter 1, verse 13. Now, I knew it was here. I just was having trouble finding it. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God, for God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. You go back to verse 2. Remember, it says, my brethren, count it all joy when you fall into divers temptations, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. That's that development process. And the reason I say is the temptation, the sin is, those are the things that are perhaps your heart is struggling with right then. I mean, I'm going to tell you, if I just, last night, man, we had this meal. My wife made this Dorito casserole. We call it Mexican casserole. And it's got Velveeta. I don't know if it's got Velveeta or not. It's got cheese and all this chicken, and Doritos. If it's got Doritos, it's got to be good. All right. And so she made that and corn, and then afterwards we had these chocolate peanut butter cookies with ice cream. I was so stuffed when I was done. I mean, I bet you I ate a half a pan of that. Okay. I mean, I not gluttony, borderline almost. All right. So if you came in there and you said, Guyton, because I love caramel cake. So Guyton, I got a caramel cake here. I was so full last night, I wouldn't even been tempted. It wasn't, I would have been like, no, you can save me a piece, but I don't want any. But if I wouldn't have been full in that given situation, would I have been tempted to eat of that?
Mm.
And so there's different times in our lives that we can be going through things that the devil will entice us to try and tempt us.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows what to pull at to try and reach that heart. And to be struggling with that temptation is not the sin, it's the giving into the temptation.
That's right.
But how do we overcome temptation is to try and avoid it when we can. And that's where and Rick Jones said, Matthew 12:34, out of the heart the mouth speaks. Guarding the heart is important.
When I hear that about what do we do to avoid temptation or to overcome temptation, go back to what Ray was saying just a minute ago about Jesus being tempted in the wilderness. How did Jesus do it? He did it by citing the word, which means that his heart was full of the word. You mentioned a minute ago about you weren't tempted because you were full. Well, if you're full of the word and God's will, then you're not going to be as tempted.